Hey guys, how's it going? So welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look, sort of a mini review on this board. We aren't going to be doing any testing today, but I have tested it and I have sort of used it. We're going to see, is this a good board to buy? Because it is an X58 board for $30. And if you're into more like the used tech, you already know about X58. If you don't, X58 is a great platform. It's about 10 years old now. But essentially, what you can do with it is you can support up to 6-core, 12-threaded Xeons, which is a lot for such an old platform, and you get those for about 20 bucks each, which makes it a really great value. So this one already comes with a CPU. It's the Xeon W3530, which is a quad-core 8-thread CPU that runs at 2.8 gigahertz for $30. So it's a pretty good CPU. Nothing amazing, but for 30 bucks, I would say it's a good CPU. So yeah, we're going to be looking at this platform and seeing, this combo, seeing, is it worth it? So yeah, let's find that out. Alright, so getting into the thing. What's the good and what's the bad? I haven't really observed any, performance differences. I mean, there's probably a little bit, but it's probably going to perform about the same as, your typical X58 motherboard. On to some of the other great features. It's the X58 platform itself, which means you get the support for the good CPUs, you get 6 RAM slots, so triple channel RAM, and it's just all together, it's a pretty good platform for budget builds. Another good thing is RAM support. You can support either ECC or normal DDR3 RAM, which is good because ECC is very cheap. Obviously, you have to keep in mind you make sure your CPU supports it as well. You've also got plenty of PCIe slots to expand because you'll probably want to get USB 3.0 and SATA 6 or 6 gigabytes or SATA 3, same thing, so you can have faster drives. And it's definitely full. You get full 16 on each slot, no SLI, probably not Crossfire either, but that's not really a good option regardless, but it is a full good slot, so you can really, it has good graphics support. I don't think there's, I haven't observed any, bad graphics compatibility with this board, like some other OEM boards. So now, yeah, let's get on to what's the bad. Obviously you got limited I/O support, but that's really not a big concern, obviously. You may get USB 3.0 and SATA 6 on the really high-end X58 boards, but that was a very new feature, so obviously we're not expecting to see this on this board. But what's like the real crappy things about this board? The backplate. This severely limits CPU cooler compatibility because most CPU coolers have a backplate, and the backplate is the little cross backplate. So you can't use it because it's too tall. As you can see, it's too tall, which is really a shame because that means, most CPU coolers you can't use. So if you find a good deal on a normal CPU cooler, you can't use it. But what I would recommend is obviously, the stock cooler side where it just has the pins that go through the board. You can sort of get ones with a similar mounting system. Most of the cheap eBay and AliExpress CPU coolers have that kind of mounting system. So those coolers are alright, they're a good deal. So that definitely fits the board in a way. But yeah, what else sucks about this board? The power connector. You need, it's proprietary, somewhat. You got a couple pins that are switched, so you either have to do that yourself. There's some diagrams and stuff, which I'll leave in the link below. Yeah, sorry, I can't speak that well right now. But essentially, yeah. So just the 24 pin is proprietary. So you either have to buy an adapter, which is kind of like a waste of money, or switch it yourself, which sucks, or buy the power supply that's included. That's what I did. I bought the power supply that was included because I wanted to have another power supply. But the included power supply is actually pretty good. It's 450 or 30, I can't remember. But it's an 80 plus bronze power supply. It's pretty good. The cables are very short though, so you may have a very hard time fitting it in build. It'll probably fit if you have the power supply on top, but on the power supply on bottom, you may have to stretch it or move around the power supply. The deal breaker about the included power supplies is it's not ATX compatible. It's much bigger. It doesn't have any standard mounting holes, so you can't really fit it in a ATX case. You can probably just Just plop it down in your case if it doesn't have a power supply shroud, and just leave it there. It will work. You don't have to screw it down, or you can modify your case, but you know, that's a gamble because you may not have enough room and stuff. So that really sucks. Obviously you can get around it. The I/O, the front panel I/O is like a mess, crazy. There's no reset button. I couldn't get any of the LEDs to work, so you pretty much just have power. And the power button, obviously, it's unmarked on the board. There's no real user manual, but there are some diagrams, which I will link below if you need them. Whenever you boot it, you get a bunch of errors messages because you need to have like a bunch of things plugged in order to not have the error messages, which sucks. The fan connectors, a bunch of them are proprietary. Here's one that's normal. I think there's only one normal fan connector. There are 3 more. 2 of them, and you can force a fan connector into them, but as you can see, I don't know, it's probably not going to be focused, so there's no point in holding it closer to the camera, but as you can see, this spans across 3 pins or 4 pins when it should only span across 2, 3? Whatever, you know, most fan connectors are not compatible, but you can obviously bend that and force it in if you need some fan connectors. So yeah, that sucks. One other thing that sucks, which is, I think, the most deal breaker aspect of this, no overclocking support. So that means you can't overclock your CPUs, which is where where the other half of the value from X58 comes in. The first value, high core count, cheap. Well, 3 things. High core count, cheap, and overclockable, which means you can get really good performance out of them. This takes the overclockable out of the equation, which means, you know, if you're looking to get a super budget build, you know, this might be a good option. But if you're looking to get into X58 for the cores and, you know, to get good performance out of it, this is a bad option. So what is the conclusion on this? So as I said just a few minutes ago, well, just a few seconds ago, actually, don't buy this board if you're looking to get into X58. Doesn't overclock well. It supports other CPUs. I've tried, you know, i7s. I haven't tried the Xeon W or Xeon X series, but this is the Xeon W series. But you know, it should work. I haven't seen any issues about CPU compatibility online or with my own testing. I haven't seen any RAM issues either. Obviously, there's only a little bit of RAM is actually supported, but I mean, I've tried multiple. All of the RAM that I've had, which is just some normal DDR3, and it works fine. So I wouldn't worry about RAM compatibility. But you know, the proprietary connectors, the backplate, the lack of overclocking means you really shouldn't use it if you want to get into the X58 platform. But is it okay if you're just looking for the cheapest? I would say it's all right. If you know what you're getting into, if you choose your parts carefully, make sure that they are that they will work. If you're okay with, you know, modifying your power supply, or if you know that you have some space to get the included one, then I would say, it's maybe not the best option, but it is a possible option. I would probably recommend saving up and getting something a little bit better, like a slightly newer mainstream Intel platform rather than the cheap, you know, OEM HEDT from 10 years ago. But it is definitely an option, so I would say if you want to give it a try, then go ahead. But not really the best board in the world, especially not for beginners, so I would not recommend it. And you know, it's possible you may want to get into it, but in the end, it doesn't give a recommendation. If you guys did enjoy this video, leave a like, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. We're taking off.